Today we are here in Skippool Creek. In the distance, as I pan, you'll be able to see Shard Bridge. So we're going to do a little bit of history. Of course, if I'm wrong, do correct me. So allegedly, Saxon women from Thornton allegedly chased the Danes out of the village towards Skippool. The little port on the wire is written as Skipon on old maps, otherwise known as Skippool and Skippool. So in 1281, Skippool Mill was in operation. It was a water mill, well, a bit obvious as you can see, and that was just south of Skippool Bridge. Now apparently that's under the big roundabout, which we may try and get a shot of later. So apparently the ruins of the mill can still be traced, because one would assume if you just get access. Michelle and Brian are busy today, so I have the lovely Deborah Contessa with us.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. She may allow me to film her, she may not, we don't know. Anyway, we're kind of outside Yacht Club.
Yep.
Of which we'll talk about in a bit. Reading some of the notes I've got, you'll love this. Skippool was popular for the following things: cockfighting, smuggling, press gangs. Its alehouses were infamous for strong ale, contraband spirits and drunks. There you go. There are even tales of a smuggler's tunnel leading from alehouse cellars to Shard or Mains Hall. Also a small shop which sold tea and sugar to the boatmen. Like you do. I think maybe some of the warehouses or wherever they stored the contraband. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely. Obviously we can't show you any warehouses because they don't exist anymore. Sorry about that. But we might be able to see other things and tell you about other places when we go back to the car park. Things like Oslin and so on and so forth. So this is where I walk carefully back again, and you get to laugh to see how muddy it is. If you hear anybody laughing, that's our lovely Deborah. Cackling more like I think. Now this does flood, high tide. I think there's like a super high tide if memory serves me correctly. Again, if I'm wrong, correct me, but this will be virtually impassable. Unless you've got a boat, of course. Obviously. This is quite popular, I think, with dog walkers. People are just rambling.
Doggers, I believe.
If you're unsure of what that is, just look it up. I'm not going to elaborate there. No. I think what I love about Skippool, it's just full of history, full of some fantastic jetties, which I'm trying to show. They do look like they're going to fall over, but they don't. And they've stood the test of time. And it's a nice thing to do for those of you who can't get out, or you're not living around here at the minute. Is it leaking? Is it leaking? Listen to me. Is it leaking? It does though, it looks like that. No. Look. Stream.
Yeah. It's not coming from
Up there.
rather than... It's not coming that way, is it? It's coming that way.
I know nothing about maritime history or rivers or
Well, it's water.
I know it's water. This is where I show how silly I am.
If you dip your finger in it, it's fresh. It's coming from up there. If it's salty, it's coming from there.
So, me going, oh, water. Underground something? Culvert? Is that the right word?
It's a very nice word. We'll use that
We'll
one.
use that one.
Yeah. It's not coming from the field. It is in fact flowing from the earth.
It could be the water tree. This is a very pretty tree. See, we do have a script of sorts, but as is normal when I do anything like this, we tend to go off on tangents, don't we? Yes. Like you do. So, there's a lovely gentleman and he's doing some... don't know who he is.
Some sort of photography.
Yes. It's very popular for photographers here, of course.
Yeah. And smokers.
Yes. Mm. But when you think you can get some superb shots of jetties like this, it is a bit ace. I'd be worried walking on that though. This bit, with the steps, there's a step missing. You would, wouldn't you?
Just look at the tilt on it.
It's fantastic.
That one's more robust.
I just love them just for the rustic. Good, another good word.
Ramshackleness.
Now we talked about warehouses. An awful lot of warehouses, Skippool and Wardleys, as you can appreciate. Lots of imported goods, to be honest. So around about 1670s, Prospect Farm at Skippool was built by the Barton family. Thomas Barton went on to have a keen interest in the shipping trade from the port. Now, Prospect Farm has recently been demolished and knocked down, and it's going to have eco houses built on it.
Ooh.
And I've been lucky enough to record it, so at a later date when it's all finished, we'll have a set of really nice films for everybody to watch. 1700s, we've got a Quaker trader named William Stout. He was captured, held to ransom by a French man of war, and eventually wrecked at Red Bank in August. Her cargo of sugar was stored in Squire Fleetwood's barn at Rossall, and the cotton wool stored in Bispam Church, like you do. Skippool Bridge was repaired with funds levied from the local people by the High Constables of Amounderness. The site of the bridge, which people always say, where was it, is now covered by the roundabout on Amounderness Way.
Right.
Now, do they mean the one that they're working on, or the ridiculous big one that nobody likes driving round?
I'm suggesting it's a ridiculous one that nobody likes driving round.
Ah.
Because when that was tight, that one... Oh, I don't know. No, my money's on the other one.
On the big one.
Mm.
But the river's not near there.
It may have been diverted or smallened.
We can always film. Then you can see and make your own decision. We've also just said this would be fantastic when it's sunrise and sunset, obviously. You can get some cracking pictures. Even though the photographer didn't want to say hello, everybody else has.
We suspect he's not a photographer, he's up to no good.
So, the river house. This is where I walk carefully backwards, as Deborah will giggle and make sure I don't fall in the mud. Back a bit, splat. Alright. This has been extended quite a lot over the years. Anyway, so around the 1820s, the river house in Skippool was built with its own stables and coach house. In the 1920s, it became known as the Riverwire Hotel and restaurant. Then the River House, which became a restaurant around about the 1950s. It was popular with the likes of a ballet dancer called Rudolph Nureyev, singer and guitarist George Harrison, and apparently prominent politicians. As you can see now, it's a private house. But if you look, we've got to get it, there's a car coming, we've got to move. This is quite high up. This will make more sense when I spin. But as we've said before, this does flood. So you can imagine as the years and centuries have swung by, this is why the house is built a little bit higher. But there you go. In the distance to the right, see the Riverwire Hotel, which we're going to go and have a look at in a bit. We'll give you a bit more history. It's like I say, as you can appreciate, when it's very high spring tide, all this floods. So it's looking very pretty at the moment, obviously because it's low tide. And what we're trying to do is show some of the fantastic jetties. Stop it. We said that if somebody at some point maybe watches this and is kind enough to go, come and say hello, we need waterproofs and walking boots. This will make more sense if you can see some of the ladders we're showing you.
It's not quite Monte Carlo, is it?
No. Still fantastic. So you've got to be good with ladders and wear sturdy footwear. So no heels. Ooh, Yellowwalla cottages. Just gonna have to swing by shortly. Hold on. These have been here quite a while, and hopefully we'll get some more of the area shortly. We are stationary. We have part. Reports around about 2008, of course, in Skippool Creek. 4 people stopped in the car park to chat. So this is where we are now. 3 of the 4 glanced out of the windscreen just in time to see a white mist, the height and rough shape of a person, pass in front of the car at a hurried walking pace even.
Yes, I would think it was pace.
This is not the first sighting of like an old fisherman type person.
No, I have indeed heard myself a story where a member of Lancashire Constabulary was parked here one evening, and as he looked out of the front of his vehicle, he was startled by an old fisherman in his sou'wester and yellow raincoat.
Ooh.
When he turned his panda around to leave, the young gentleman had moved in front of him again, blocking his path just for the apparition to disappear.
Oh my goodness. How did that person react? Were they scared? Were they...
I imagine they were very frightened indeed, yes.
Question is, folks, do you want us to come back when it's dark to the car park? Would you?
I'd come back in the dark.
Well, I'd come back in the dark because I have the car.
Can of man up and we'll be fine.
True. If anybody else has had any odd or ghostly experiences, do let us know, because that would be a bit interesting. Right, we're at Thornton Lodge now. So around about 1750, 1760, the Ouzel Inn, Thornton Lodge, stood in its, basically the car park. So this is why we stood true to form. It's like going around Blackpool, isn't it? Look at our car parks. lot of history here. We've got Thomas Baggett. We've got Thomas Wilson of Polton. Apparently though, next door to the Ouzel, and there's various pronunciations of this as well, Ouzel. Was it named after a type of thrush? We don't know. Anyway, there was a Throstle's Nest cottage. So I'm sort of going to walk towards the buildings. I mean, obviously the creek is that way. Deborah is waving, even though she's not in. Hold on, wait a minute. And
Creaky's that way.
any noises you can hear in the background, basically they're still working on Amanda's Way. It might be worth us looking at the old maps to see if it does show anything. I think it will. Anyway, very old, but a really good pub. I mean, this has been a tea room. It's just a bit fantastic. And in the distance, you just see the digger. Prospect Farm. Like I said, there will be films coming about that at a later date when I'm allowed. It's getting darker, dusker. Right, anyway, obviously we are now in front of the Riverwire Hotel, so around about 1890s. This was opened on Breck Road, overlooks Skippool Creek. Now, it's built on the site of Singleton Warehouse, and it's thought to be the only UK inn to be named after a river. King Edward VII was once seen drinking here with a group of gentlemen. And in the 1940s, stage, screen and film acting couple Barry Bonds and Diana Churchill were regular visitors. Apparently, the hotel later had a glazed extension added on its western end for use as extra dining space for a carvery. The extension got too hot and was replaced by the brick extension of today. I would assume it's that bit there, to be honest. So, I'm going to do a little bit of a walk in front. Hopefully not get run over by the traffic. Well, it's something you always look at when you drive past, don't you?
Oh, always. I used to like the old time.
Yeah.
The fish and the boats.
Yeah. And the coat of arms, I know you can't really see this. The Blackpool coat of arms, that's what it is apparently. There we go. Now, if I sort of go to it, I might have mentioned about a bridge, and by means of deduction, we kind of figured it's this roundabout here. We might be right, we might be wrong, we don't know. Oh, I can smell the food. Oh, that's lovely.
We're full of food.
I know we're full of food. Right. I'm just going to walk sideways a bit here. But what I want to do, before I switch it off, I just want to show you how busy it is. With the traffic and what they're doing. And obviously, it's that bad. The little ones are now driving with little pink cars. It's crazy.